The hot sun beat down on the desert sand as Commander Taewon wiped sweat from his forehead. He stood in the open door of the military helicopter, looking through his binoculars at something strange in the distance. The object was big, metal, and not from Earth. It had crashed into the Gobi Desert just 6 hours ago. "Sir, we can see movement inside that thing," said Lieutenant Han, pointing at the crashed ship. Han was young but smart, and his hand was steady even though this was the strangest day of his life. Taewon nodded. "Keep the helicopter back. We don't know what might come out of there." Reports had been coming in all morning. Big alien ships had entered Earth's sky. They were sending smaller ships down to land in different places around the world. This crashed ship was one of them. The desert heat made the air shimmer. Through this heat haze, Taewon could see the alien ship clearly. It was about as big as a passenger plane. When it crashed, it had cut a long, deep line through the sand for half a kilometer before stopping. The ship's outer shell was an odd purple-blue color that changed when the light hit it. No Earth metal looked like that. "Commander," called Yuna, the communications officer. "We're getting a message. It's on all radio channels." A voice came through the helicopter's speakers. It sounded flat and computer-like, speaking in perfect Korean. "People of Earth, your planet now belongs to the Veridon Collective. Do not resist. We bring better technology and civilization. We will use your planet's resources. This is the natural way for advanced beings to treat developing worlds." Taewon frowned. "They're not even trying to hide that they're here to take over." As he spoke, part of the alien ship began to move. A section of the side slid open and a ramp extended down to the sand. Figures appeared in the doorway. They were tall and thin, and they moved in a precise way like machines. They wore full-body suits with shiny helmets that hid their faces completely. "Sir, we have orders," Han said, showing Taewon a message on a tablet. "We're just supposed to watch for now. Special forces are coming." Taewon nodded but kept his eyes on the aliens. 6 of them were walking down the ramp in a strange, stiff way. As the first alien stepped onto the desert sand, something unexpected happened. The alien stumbled. Its long legs seemed to buckle under it. It reached out to the ship's side to stop itself from falling. Its movements were suddenly jerky and uncoordinated. "What's happening to them?" Yuna asked, zooming in with her camera. One by one, the other aliens started having similar problems. Their smooth, coordinated movements became awkward and struggling. 2 of them turned around and went back into the ship. The others were having trouble with the equipment they were carrying. "Sir," Han said, his eyes wide, I think they can't handle our gravity. Or maybe it's the heat." Taewon watched. The aliens tried to set up some kind of monitoring equipment. Their movements were getting slower and more difficult. The temperature gauge in the helicopter showed 43 degrees, 109 degrees. "They picked the wrong planet," Taewon said, "and definitely the wrong place to land." For the next 2 hours, Taewon and his team watched the aliens struggle. More aliens came out of the ship wearing different suits. These new suits had more mechanical parts, like they were trying to help the aliens move in Earth's gravity. But the aliens still moved slowly and with difficulty. "Look at that," Han said, pointing. "They keep going back inside after only about 20 minutes outside." Taewon nodded. "The heat must be too much for them. Their homeworld must be much cooler." By late afternoon, the aliens had managed to set up a small base outside their ship. They put up dome-shaped tents connected by tubes. Cool air seemed to be pumping into these structures. The sand around them was actually forming frost. In the desert heat, they need cold to function, Yuna observed. That's going to be a problem for them in this desert. Just then, a small dust storm blew through the area. It wasn't very big by desert standards, just a strong wind carrying sand and dust. But the aliens reacted like it was a disaster. They rushed back to their ship, abandoning their equipment. The dust seemed to be causing problems with their suits and machines. "Sir, we're getting another transmission," Yuna said, "but this one isn't for us. They're sending it up to their main ships." The message was in an alien language, but the military computers translated it quickly. Landing site Alpha experiencing severe environmental challenges. Atmosphere more hostile than anticipated. Gravity causing mechanical stress. Local mineral particles damaging to external systems. Request immediate adaptation support. Taewon couldn't help but smile. They thought they were going to walk in and take over. Instead, they can barely stand up in our gravity or handle our weather. As the sun began to set, the temperature dropped, quickly, as it often does in the desert. Within an hour, it went from burning hot to uncomfortably cold. This new change seemed to confuse the aliens even more. They emerged from their ship again, moving more easily in the cooler air, but seemed shocked by how fast the temperature had changed. They don't understand Earth at all, Han said. Their home planet must be very different. That's our advantage, Taewon replied. They may have better technology, but they don't know how to live here. We do. We've been surviving in Earth's harshest places for thousands of years. As night fell completely, the alien ship lit up from within. The aliens had set up bright lights around their landing area and were now moving equipment again, working better in the cool night air. They seemed to be building something, perhaps a more permanent base. Sir, Yuna said, headquarters wants us to pull back. A special science and military team is coming at dawn. They want us to observe from a safe distance. Taewon nodded and gave the order to move the helicopter back. As they lifted off, he took one last look at the alien ship glowing in the dark desert. These aliens thought they were superior. They thought their advanced technology made them better than humans. But they couldn't even handle one day in the desert without struggling. They have no idea what they're in for, Taewon said quietly as the helicopter turned away. If they think the desert is bad now, wait until they see what it can really do. The helicopter disappeared into the night, leaving the aliens to face their first night on Earth, a planet that was already proving far more challenging than they had expected. 3 days after the aliens landed, Major Dae-sung arrived at the military camp set up 10 kilometers from the alien ship. He was a scientist who studied alien life, though until now, his work had all been theory. The military had called him because he knew more about possible alien biology than anyone else. Taewon met him as he stepped out of the jeep. Welcome to Operation Desert Watch, Major. Things have gotten very interesting since we first saw the aliens. Tell me everything, Dae-sung said, putting on his hat to block the harsh sun. They walked to the command tent where a big screen showed live video of the alien ship. The aliens had built several dome structures around their ship, all connected by tube-like hallways. They're trying to build a base, Taewon explained. But Earth is not making it easy for them. They change their workers every 4 hours. They can't seem to stay in our gravity for long periods. Dae-sung studied the screen carefully. Have they tried to talk to us? Only that first message when they arrived. They haven't answered any of our attempts to communicate since then. The screen showed an alien coming out of one of the domes. It was wearing what looked like a robot suit to help it move in Earth's gravity. Their physical problems are our first advantage, Dae-sung noted. What else have you seen? Han brought up, another screen showing heat readings. They keep their living spaces at about 10 degrees C, much colder than our current outside temperature of 45 degrees C. They also use a lot of water. They pull moisture from the air constantly. Cold and wet, Dae-sung said thoughtfully. Their home planet must be very different from Earth. There's more, Yuna added. Yesterday a dust storm hit their camp. It was small by desert standards, but they stopped all outside work immediately. The sand seems to damage their equipment. Dae-sung nodded slowly. So sand hurts their technology, heat weakens their bodies, and gravity limits how they move. He looked at Taewon. Commander, it seems Earth itself is fighting these invaders better than we could. Maybe, Taewon agreed. But we still need to be ready for when they adapt. Their ships are still in space, and they've landed in other places around the world too. Have they attacked anyone? Dae-sung asked. No. They've stayed in their area, but we've heard their messages to their ships in space. They keep reporting unexpected environmental challenges. As they talked, an alarm sounded. On the screen, the alien dome started to fold back into the main ship. They're packing up, Han said. Are they leaving? Taewon frowned. No. Look. The camera zoomed in on new equipment being brought out. Bigger, stronger machinery with heavy shields. The Aliens were bringing out what looked like mining equipment and machines that could change the air around them. They're not giving up, Daesung said with worry in his voice. They're adapting, and when they do, they'll move beyond the desert, Taewon finished. We need a plan before that happens. For the next 2 days, the aliens worked to set up their new equipment. They built a ring of tall metal towers around their ship. Each tower had a strange device on top that glowed blue. What are those towers doing? Taewon asked on the morning of the 5th day. Daesung checked the readings on his tablet. They're changing the air. Look at these measurements. The area around their ship is getting colder and more humid. They're creating their home planet's climate in a bubble around their base. Han zoomed the camera in closer. Their new suits are working better too. Yesterday they could only work outside for 4 hours. Today I've seen the same aliens out for 6 hours straight. Taewon looked worried. They're solving their problems one by one. Sir? Yuna called from her communications station. We're getting reports from other landing sites. The aliens in Siberia are doing much better than the ones here. The cold climate there is helping them. And the ones who landed in the Amazon rainforest? Daesung asked. Struggling even worse than ours, Yuna replied. The humidity and heat together are causing major problems for them. Daesung walked to the map on the wall showing all the alien landing sites around the world. They didn't research our planet very well before invading. They seem to have landed randomly. Or they were so confident in their technology that they didn't think it mattered, Taewon suggested. Just then, a soldier rushed into the tent. Sir, the aliens are expanding their perimeter. They've moved equipment 2 kilometers east of their ship. On the main screen, they could see alien vehicles moving across the desert. These weren't like Earth vehicles. They floated above the ground and moved silently. The aliens inside wore their mechanical suits, but they seemed to be moving more easily now. They're looking for something, Daesung said, watching their careful movements. See how they're scanning the ground? Taewon nodded. Resources, probably. Our intelligence reports say there might be rare metals in this area. As they watched, one of the alien vehicles stopped. An alien got out and placed a device on the ground. The device drilled itself into the sand and started to glow. What is that? Han asked. Some kind of marker, Daesung guessed. They're mapping resources. Over the next few hours, the aliens placed more of these markers in a wide area around their ship. Each time, they took soil samples before placing the device. They're getting more confident, Taewon observed. Their environmental bubble is expanding, their suits are working better, and now they're starting to explore. The sun began to set, painting the desert in red and gold. Unlike their first day, the aliens didn't retreat when night fell. Their environmental towers glowed brighter, pushing back the natural cold of the desert night. At this rate, they'll have a stable base within a week, Daesung said. Then they'll start building whatever they came here to build. Taewon stood up straight, his mind made up. Then we have less than a week to stop them. How? Han asked. We've been told not to attack them directly. All countries agreed to watch and wait. We won't attack them, Taewon said with a small smile. We'll let the desert do it for us. He turned to Daesung. Major, you know how these aliens work now. What would hurt them the most? What part of Earth would they be least prepared for? Daesung thought for a moment. Their technology doesn't handle our sand well. Their bodies struggle with heat, and his eyes lit up. And they seem very dependent on stable conditions. They hate when things change suddenly. Taewon nodded. And what's the most unstable thing about the desert? The storms, Daesung replied, understanding now. Desert storms can appear with almost no warning. The temperature can drop 20 degrees in an hour. Sand can bury equipment. Static electricity can damage sensitive technology. Exactly, Taewon said. And the weather report says we're due for a big sandstorm in 3 days. He looked at the alien base on the screen, with its glowing towers and expanding bubble of alien atmosphere. They think they're adapting to Earth, he said quietly. But they haven't seen what Earth can really do, yet. The next morning, Taewon called a meeting with his team and several scientists who had arrived from the capital. They gathered in the largest tent at the military camp, looking at maps and pictures of the alien base. "We have less than 3 days before the sandstorm hits," Taewon said. "We need to understand exactly how these aliens work so we can use the storm against them." Daesung stood up and walked to the front of the room. "After studying them for 5 days, here's what we know about the aliens." He pointed to a picture of an alien in its suit. "First, their bodies. They are tall and thin. They seem to come from a planet with less gravity than Earth. That's why they struggle to move here. Their new suits help, but they still get tired quickly." Next, he showed a thermal image of their base. Second, temperature. Their base is kept at around 10 degrees C. When it gets hotter than 20 degrees C, they start having problems. They prefer cold. He moved to another image showing one of their towers. Third, air. They're creating a bubble of air around their base that has more water in it and less oxygen than our air. This suggests their home planet has moist air with different gases than Earth. Finally, he showed a close-up of their ship's outer shell. Fourth, their technology. Their machines are advanced, but very sensitive. Earth's sand and dust damage them. They don't handle sudden changes well. Jin-ho, one of the new scientists, raised his hand. "Do we know what they want? Why are they here?" Taewon nodded. "From what we've observed, they're taking soil samples and setting up mining equipment. We think they want our planet's resources." "How do we use this information against them?" asked Yuna. Daesung smiled. "The coming sandstorm. It will hit all their weaknesses at once, but," he paused, "we can make it even worse for them." He unrolled a large map on the table. "Their environmental bubble is their main protection against Earth's conditions. It's powered by these 7 towers. He pointed to spots on the map. "If these towers stop working during the storm, their whole base will be exposed to the full force of the desert." "But how do we disable the towers without attacking them directly?" Han asked. "We have orders not to start a fight." Another scientist named Sunmi stepped forward. She was an engineer who specialized in electromagnetic fields. "I have an idea," she said. "These aliens use a type of energy field we've never seen before, but all energy fields can be disrupted." She opened a laptop and showed them a design. "This device uses Earth's natural magnetic field to create interference. It won't break their technology, but it will make it work much less efficiently." "Like putting sand in a machine," Taewon said, understanding. "Exactly," Sunmi nodded. "The best part is it's completely passive. We won't be attacking them, we'll just be amplifying Earth's natural defenses." Taewon studied the design. "How many can you build before the storm hits?" "With the materials we have? About 20, Sunmi replied. "We'll need to place them in a ring around their base." "That's going to be dangerous," Han pointed out. "Their sensors are getting better. They might detect us." Daesung shook his head. "Not if we go at the right time. Their sensors still struggle during the temperature changes at dawn and dusk. That's our window." Taewon made his decision. "We'll go tomorrow at dusk. That gives us 1 day to build the devices and plan the approach." For the rest of the day, the camp was busy with activity. Sunmi and her team built the special devices while Taewon planned the mission with his soldiers. Daesung continued to monitor the aliens, looking for any changes in their behavior. As night fell, Daesung called Taewon to the observation post. "You need to see this," he said, pointing to the screen. The aliens had brought out a large machine. From their ship, it looked like a tower with a dish on top, but much bigger than their environmental towers. "What is that?" Taewon asked. "I think it's a communicator," Daesung replied. "They're building a stronger connection to their ships in space." They watched as the aliens assembled the large dish. Despite their mechanical suits, they still moved awkwardly in Earth's gravity, taking twice as long as humans would to build. Something similar. "Why do they need a bigger communicator now?" Taewon wondered. His question was answered an hour later when Yuna rushed in. "Sir, we've intercepted a new message from their base to their fleet in space." The translated message appeared on her tablet. "Base Alpha to Command. Earth resistance is minimal, but environmental challenges severe. Request immediate deployment of terraforming equipment. Planet has valuable resources, but current conditions unsuitable for efficient extraction. Recommend establishing permanent base in northern polar region where temperature is more tolerable. Terraforming, Daesung said, his face pale. They want to change Earth's environment to match their home planet. Could they do that? Taewan asked, alarmed. With advanced enough technology? Maybe. Not quickly, but over time they could change our atmosphere, our temperature, making Earth more like their world and less suitable for humans, Taewan finished. This changes everything, Daesung said. Before they were just invaders looking for resources. Now they're an existential threat to all life on Earth, Taewan looked at the alien base on the screen. Then our plan becomes even more important. We need to show them that Earth won't be easily changed. The next morning, Sunmi presented the finished devices to the team. Each one was about the size of a water bottle, with a metal spike at one end. These need to be pushed into the sand. Spike first, she explained. Once activated, they'll create an electromagnetic field that will interfere with the aliens' technology. The effect will be strongest during the sandstorm. How close do they need to be to the alien towers? Taewan asked. Within half a kilometer, Sunmi replied. The closer, the better. Taewan nodded and turned to his team. We'll split into 4 groups. Each group will place 5 devices around the base, approaching from different directions. We go at sunset. As the day progressed, they watched the aliens continue their work. The aliens seemed more active than before, moving equipment and setting up new structures around their base. Their environmental bubble had grown larger, now covering an area almost 2 kilometers wide. They're working faster, Han noted. Like they're trying to finish something before the storm. They can probably detect it coming, Daesung said. Their weather sensors would be more advanced than ours. As the sun began to set, turning the sky orange and red, Taewan gathered his team for final instructions. Remember, don't get too close to their sensors. If you're detected, pull back. Immediately. Our goal is to place the devices without them knowing we were there. The 4 teams moved out, each taking a different direction toward the alien base. Taewan led the first team, moving carefully through the cooling desert as darkness began to fall. From his position behind a dune, he could see the alien base clearly. The environmental towers glowed blue against the darkening sky. The large communication dish was now complete, rotating slowly as it sent signals to space. This is our chance, Taewan said quietly to his team. To show these aliens that Earth is not theirs to take, that humans have something they don't. We understand this planet. We've lived with its dangers for thousands of years. He looked up at the sky where the first stars were appearing. Somewhere up there, more alien ships waited. But between them and Earth's resources stood the planet itself, with all its harsh and beautiful environments, and humans, who had learned to call those environments home. Let's go, Taewan said. It's time to let Earth fight back. The night was dark with no moon as Taewan led his team across the desert sand. They moved slowly, staying low and using the dunes as cover. Each person carried 4 of Sunmi's special devices in their backpacks. Status report, Taewan whispered into his radio. Team 2 in position, came Han's voice. Team 3 ready, reported Yuna. Team 4 standing by, said the last group leader. Taewan looked at the alien base through his night vision goggles. The blue glow from the environmental towers made a dome of light in the darkness. Alien guards moved around the edge of their base, but they stayed close to the towers. They still didn't like being too far from their artificial environment. Remember, the plan, Taewan told his team. We place the devices in a circle around their base, half a kilometer from their towers. Push them deep into the sand and activate them. Then leave quickly and quietly. His team nodded. They were all experienced soldiers, but no training had prepared them for sneaking up on an alien base. Weather update. Daesung's voice came through the radio from the command center. Sandstorm is moving faster than expected. It will hit in about 6 hours just before dawn. That gives us less time than we planned, Taewan replied. We need to move now. The 4 teams began to approach the alien base from different directions. Taewan's team moved from the north using a dry riverbed for cover. The sand was soft under their feet, making it easy to walk quietly. When they were about 600 meters from the nearest alien tower, Taewon signaled his team to stop. An alien patrol was moving their way. The aliens were using a floating vehicle that moved silently across the sand. It had bright lights that swept the desert in front of it. "Down," Taewon whispered. His team pressed themselves into the sand, behind a small rise. The alien vehicle passed by less than 50 meters away. Its lights swept over the sand just above their heads. For a moment, Taewon thought they had been seen, but the vehicle continued on its path around the base. "That was close," one of his soldiers whispered. "Too close," Taewon agreed. "We need to be more careful." They continued forward more slowly now. When they reached the half-kilometer mark, Taewon took out the first device. It was silver with a sharp point at one end and a small display on top. He pushed it deep into the sand until only the top showed. Then he pressed the activation button. The display lit up with a soft green light. "First device active," he reported, moving to second position. Similar reports came in from the other teams. The plan was working. They were placing the devices in a perfect circle around the alien base. Taewon's team had just placed their third device when Yuna's voice came urgently through the radio. "Team 3 has been spotted. Alien patrol heading your way, Taewon." Taewon looked up to see the floating vehicle changing direction, now moving straight toward their position. Its lights swept the desert, searching. "Scatter and hide," he ordered his team. "Place your last devices if you can, then retreat to the meeting point." His team split up, each moving in a different direction. Taewon took the last device from his pack and ran to the final position. He had to place it to complete the circle. Without all 20 devices, the plan wouldn't work properly. The alien vehicle was getting closer. Its lights swept across the sand, almost catching him several times. Taewon dropped to his stomach and crawled the last 50 meters. When he reached the right spot, he quickly pushed the device into the sand and activated it. "Final device placed," he whispered into his radio. "All teams fall back to the meeting point." He began to crawl away, but the alien vehicle's light suddenly fixed on his position. A high-pitched sound came from the vehicle, some kind of alarm. The aliens had spotted him. Taewon jumped to his feet and ran. The vehicle accelerated after him, gaining quickly. There was no way he could outrun it on the sand. Just when the vehicle was about to catch him, the ground beneath it suddenly shifted. The aliens had driven into a patch of soft sand, a small dune that looked solid but wasn't. The vehicle tilted to one side, its levitation system struggling with the shifting surface. Taewon didn't waste the opportunity. He changed direction and ran for a cluster of large rocks nearby. Once there, he pressed himself into a narrow crack between two boulders where the vehicle couldn't follow. The aliens circled the rocks for several minutes, searching for him. Their lights probed every shadow, but they seemed unwilling to leave their vehicle and search on foot. Eventually, they gave up and returned to their base. "Taewon to all teams," he whispered when it was safe. "Status report." One by one, the teams reported in. Everyone had placed their devices and escaped. Some had close calls, but no one had been captured. "Good work," Taewon said. "Return to base immediately. The storm is coming sooner than expected." By the time all 4 teams made it back to their camp, the wind was already picking up. Sand began to blow across the desert in waves. The sky to the west was dark with the approaching storm. Dae-sung met them in the command tent. "All devices are active and working," he reported, looking at a tablet showing 20 green dots around the alien base. "The electromagnetic field is already causing small disruptions to their systems." "And when the storm hits?" Taewon asked. "The effect will multiply," Sunmi explained. "The storm carries its own static electricity. Our devices will amplify that and direct it against their technology. Their environmental towers won't be able to handle the interference." They watched the alien base on their screens. The aliens seemed to know the storm was coming. They were bringing equipment inside their ship and strengthening their environmental bubble. The towers glowed brighter than before. "They think their technology can protect them from a simple sandstorm," Dae-sung said. "They still don't understand Earth's power." As dawn approached, the storm reached the alien base. It hit like a wall of sand. reducing visibility to almost nothing. Wind speeds reached over 100 kilometers per hour. Sand and dust flew through the air, scratching and wearing away at anything in its path. At first, the aliens' environmental bubble held. The sand hit an invisible wall around their base and swirled away. But then one of the towers flickered. The electromagnetic interference from the devices was working, weakening the tower's power. "Look," Una pointed to the screen. "Their communications dish is losing alignment." The large dish that had been sending messages to their fleet was shaking in the wind. Without its protective field working properly, the storm was affecting it directly. One by one, the environmental towers began to fail. The protective bubble started to collapse in sections, allowing the storm to reach the alien base itself. Sand poured through the gaps, covering equipment and vehicles. "They're trying to repair the towers," Han observed, pointing to aliens rushing out in their suits. But the aliens struggled to work in the storm. Their tall, thin bodies were pushed by the wind. Sand got into their suits' joints. Their movements, already difficult in Earth's gravity, became nearly impossible in the raging storm. "They're not adapted to this," Daesung said. "Humans have dealt with sandstorms for thousands of years. We built shelters, created tools and techniques to survive. These aliens have only their technology, and it's failing them." As the storm reached its peak, the aliens gave up trying to fix the towers. They retreated to their ship, abandoning equipment and structures outside. The storm buried everything under drifting sand. Even parts of their ship were being covered. "This is what they didn't understand about Earth," Taewon said as they watched. "It's not just a planet with resources to take. It's alive in its own way. And it's been shaping humans to survive here for millions of years." The aliens had come to conquer Earth, but in the desert, Earth was conquering them instead. The sandstorm raged for 12 hours. When it finally passed, the desert looked different. New dunes had formed. Old landmarks had disappeared under the sand. At the military camp, soldiers cleared sand from equipment and vehicles. Taewon stood, with Daesung in the command tent, looking at the first clear images of the alien base after the storm. "It worked even better than we hoped," Daesung said. The alien base was barely visible. Most of their outside equipment was buried under sand. 2 of their environmental towers had fallen over completely. Their big communication dish was bent and twisted by the wind. The protective bubble around their base was gone. "Are they still active?" Taewon asked. Han zoomed in with the camera. "Yes, sir. We can see movement inside their ship. They're trying to dig out their equipment." The aliens were working slowly, struggling more than before. Their mechanical suits seemed to be working poorly. Some aliens were carrying others back into the ship. "Their systems are damaged," Sunmi explained, checking readings on her tablet. "Not just from the sand, but from the electromagnetic interference, too. Their power supply is unstable." "What about their communications?" Taewon asked. Una checked her equipment. "Their main dish is down, but they're using a backup system. They're sending messages to their fleet, but the signal is weak." "Can we hear what they're saying?" Daesung asked. Una nodded and played the latest message they had intercepted. The alien voice sounded different now. There was a new tone in it that almost seemed like fear. "Urgent report to command. Base Alpha has experienced catastrophic environmental assault. Protective systems failed. Equipment heavily damaged. 7 crew members suffering environmental exposure. Request immediate extraction. Planet's natural defense systems exceed all predictions. Recommend immediate withdrawal from high-stress landing zones." Taewon couldn't help but smile. Planet's natural defense systems. They think the storm was some kind of weapon. "In a way, it was," Daesung said, "especially with our devices helping it along." They continued to watch as the aliens struggled to recover. By evening, they had managed to clear some of their equipment, but it was clear the damage was severe. Their environmental towers remained off. The aliens could only work outside for short periods before retreating to their ship. "Sir," Una called out, "we're getting a new transmission. This one is different. It's coming from their main fleet to all their landing sites." The message played through the speakers. All ground forces. Priority alert. Earth environments showing extreme hostility levels. Multiple landing operations reporting critical failures. Northern Polar Base now designated as primary installation. All desert and high humidity teams prepare for immediate evacuation. New strategy being formulated. The tent fell silent as everyone absorbed this news. They're retreating, Han said finally. At least from the difficult environments. Nada. Full retreat, Tae-wan pointed out. They're going to focus on the polar regions where it's cold. That suits them better. But it's still a victory, Dae-sung said. They came expecting to take over easily. Instead, they found that Earth itself fights back. The next morning, they noticed new activity at the alien base. The aliens had given up trying to repair their equipment. Instead, they were packing things up, loading everything they could into their ship. They're leaving, Han confirmed. Thermal scans show they're powering up their engines. Tae-wan made a quick decision. I want to send them a message before they go, something they can take back to their fleet. What kind of message? Dae-sung asked. The truth about Earth and humans. Something they need to understand if they're thinking about coming back. Tae-wan called headquarters and got special permission for his plan. 2 hours later, he and Dae-sung were in a small vehicle, driving toward the alien ship. They carried a white flag, the universal symbol for truce. When they were 500 meters from the ship, they stopped and waited. It didn't take long for the aliens to notice them. A small floating vehicle came out to meet them. 3 aliens in full suits stepped out, moving carefully in the sand. I am Commander Tae-wan of Earth, Tae-wan said through a translation device. This is our planet. We wish to speak with you before you leave. The middle alien stepped forward. Its voice came through a speaker on its suit. I am ship leader. Why have you come? To make sure you understand something important, Tae-wan replied. Something about Earth and humans. The alien tilted its head. Speak. Dae-sung stepped forward. Your invasion is failing. Not because of our weapons, but because of Earth itself. This planet has shaped humans for millions of years. We have learned to live in every environment it has. Deserts, ice, mountains, oceans. The alien made a dismissive gesture. Your technology is primitive. Our civilization spans many star systems. And yet, Tae-wan countered, your advanced ships are leaving. Your equipment failed. Your people couldn't handle one sandstorm. Something human desert tribes have survived for thousands of years with no technology at all. He gestured to the desert around them. This is one of Earth's harshest places. But humans crossed it on foot long before we had vehicles. We built cities in more difficult places than this. We survived ice ages with nothing but fire and fur clothes. The alien was silent for a moment. Your species shows unexpected adaptation. That's what you need to understand, Dae-sung said. Humans aren't defined by our technology. We're defined by our ability to survive and thrive in conditions that your advanced systems can't handle. Earth is our home. We understand its dangers in ways you never will. Tae-wan held out a small data device. This contains information about Earth's environments, from the Arctic to the rainforests, from the highest mountains to the deepest oceans. Each one home to humans who have adapted to live there. The alien took the device. This will be studied. Study it well, Tae-wan advised, and understand this. We did not attack you. We let Earth be itself. The storm that damaged your base was mild by desert standards. What do you think would happen to your forces in a hurricane, or a blizzard, or a volcano? The alien's posture changed slightly, showing what might have been concern. Your point is noted. Note this also, Tae-wan said firmly. Your invasion will fail. Not because we will destroy you, but because Earth itself rejects you. You cannot adapt quickly enough to survive here, let alone conquer. The alien was quiet for a long time. Then it said, we do not fail. We adapt. Then adapt to this truth, Dae-sung replied. Earth is not yours to take. Leave our world in peace, or the planet itself will continue to fight you in ways your technology cannot match. The alien turned to its companions and spoke in their own language. Finally, it faced the humans again. Your message will be sent to our leaders. Until their decision, we will stop our expansion on your world. Taewon nodded. A wise choice. As they turned to leave, the alien called out. Question. The storm. It was stronger near our base. Was this natural? Daesung smiled slightly. Everything on Earth is natural to us. We learned long ago to work with our planet, not against it. 2 days later, the alien ship lifted off in a cloud of dust and sand. Within a week, reports came in from around the world. The aliens were leaving every difficult environment. Their ships in orbit began to move away from Earth. The final message from the alien fleet was short. Earth reclassified. Not a simple resource world. Native species has deep environmental integration. Unsuitable for standard conquest. Will consider diplomatic contact when humans reach space. In the command tent, Taewon read the message and laughed. They still don't get it. They think we have some special technology that connects us to Earth. In a way we do, Daesung said. Millions of years of evolution gave us the ultimate defense, a planet that shaped us to survive its worst conditions. Outside, the desert wind blew across. The dunes, already beginning to cover the last signs of the alien visit under Earth's ancient sands.